What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatching review for you. So today we are talking about the fall 2025 collection from Essie, which is called Boho Rodeo. Now, if you haven't heard of Essie before, I would honestly be very surprised because I would argue that they are one of the most popular nail polish brands in the world, but they are a mainstream salon brand and all of their polishes are 7 free, meaning they are free of 7 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. And they recently released this Boho Rodeo collection. We've got 8 new nail polishes, all of them in the sort of brownish, pinky neutral range, most of which are creams, but we also have a couple of jelly finishes as well as one special effects topper. So let me just dive right into these swatches, then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on them, and then we can get into pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatches. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using a base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today I'm using the ILNP base coat. And I'm going to start off with the 2 jelly gloss formulas. This one is called Charm to Stable and this is the lighter of the 2, and it is an absolutely stunning sheer beige neutral color, and I have to say I immediately fell in love with this one. You can see in just one coat it was so beautiful. It kind of just feels like your naked nails but better, and it happens to match my skin tone pretty exactly, so I felt like that was just a huge bonus for me. It does have a little bit of a pinky undertone to it where my personal skin tone has a more yellowy undertone to it, but when you're working with jelly polishes they do tend to kind of match your undertone because they're on the sheer side, so it ended up working out really nicely, and I honestly think that this one looks good no matter how many coats you do. I ended up with 3 coats and I thought this was absolutely stunning. It's just a really gorgeous palette cleanser for the nails, and it just feels like a beautiful soft manicure where you can just see a little touch of that visible nail line, but it makes your fingers look very elegant, so I really enjoyed this one. And then we have the other jelly gloss. This one is Boheme, and this one is a slightly cooler toned, more pinky undertoned, light brown neutral, so you can see it has a little bit more of that blush tone to it, and again with my yellowy undertone I feel like it does bring out a little bit more of that pinky coloring in there, but I was really impressed with the opacity on this one. It still felt like a jelly sheer, but 2 coats did cover up my visible nail line, and then 3 coats actually gave me pretty much full coverage, but it still ended up having that jelly glossiness that almost kind of feels like a poly gel manicure, so it just has a little bit of elegance to it. It's kind of hard to describe unless you're seeing it in person, but another really gorgeous shade and just a really beautiful neutral that I honestly think suits every undertone. And then we have the special effects topper. This one is called Liquid Sunrise, and this is a sheer peachy pearl neutral, so it's really interesting. You can see on the first coat it's pretty much just a sheer wash of color, and you mostly can just see the shift in that pearlized shimmer that goes from pink into yellow, but when the light isn't hitting it you can just see a touch of that sort of peachy neutral beige kind of shade, and this is another one that I think looks really pretty no matter how many coats you do. I started off with 1, it looked really nice as just kind of like a sheer sparkle. 2 coats gives it a little bit more coverage, and then I would say 3 is kind of the sweet spot for me with this sort of formula because it really softens up that visible nail line, but it still gives the impression that it's a sheer polish that's intentional and it doesn't look patchy at all. Now this is a topper, so if you want a more consistent look with it I would recommend wearing it over another color, so this is over the last jelly gloss and I think that looks absolutely stunning. Honestly, this shade Liquid Sunrise, I think it looks perfect over every color in the collection, but I think you could really rock this one over anything. Then we have the cream finishes. This first shade is called Too Hot to Tame, and this one is a really beautiful pinky toned blush color. It definitely leans more on the side of like a putty kind of shade rather than being a brown color, but it definitely has that neutral tone to it, and it's a light to medium kind of color. It's interesting actually because seeing it in full coverage, it's actually quite similar to Boheme. Did I forget how to pronounce that already. But I would say these are pretty different. This one is darker and it doesn't have that sort of jelly-like finish that makes it look a little bit more like a gel on the nails. But this one is very opaque. It actually pretty much gave me one coat coverage. And then we have the shade Save a Cowboy, and this one is jumping right back into the warmer undertones here. So this one is a very yellow undertoned medium brown. So again, we have this really gorgeous opacity here. I ended up doing 2 coats, but again, I feel like I could get away with doing 1 coat of this. It's just a really beautiful neutral. I will say, since this one has that really strong yellow undertone, it might look a little bit too yellowy for cooler undertones, but I don't know. I feel like with neutrals, you can really play around with whatever tone and it still ends up working. And then of course, bouncing back to a pinky reddish sort of undertone, I actually do really appreciate how they kind of switched back and forth between the different undertones as the colors got deeper in the collection. But this one is Boho Rodeo. This is the namesake of the collection, and this one is a absolutely stunning reddish medium brown color. I will say it leans a little bit more on the neutral side, but it definitely has that sort of reddish undertone to it. And this is another one of those shades that I think is going to be very universally flattering. It's just a beautiful shade of brown. It has a lot of richness to it, and that reddish color almost makes it feel like it's close to a classic sort of nail color. So if you're not a huge fan of straying away from reds, I feel like this is a perfect way to kind of dip your toes into other neutrals. And then we have the shade Sepia Retreat, and this one is a very neutral chocolatey brown. So it's really interesting to see this kind of color as compared to the others, which have very definitive sort of undertones. This to me is like the perfect milk chocolate kind of color, and it did end up drying very slightly darker than it applied, but I would still call this one a medium brown. It's just interesting to see all the different variations of medium brown, and that's why I love these sort of neutral collections, because there are so many colors you can create with just the one shade. So I thought that was really fun. But again, really gorgeous color, really amazing formula, just absolutely perfect. And last but not least, we have the shade Fringes and Saddle, and this one is the deepest brown color of the collection. So this one's interesting. It definitely has a more crelly-like finish to it. You can see in the first coat, it's a little bit more sheer, and it actually looks like it has a reddish sort of undertone to it. But I will say, once I applied that second coat and got full coverage, I feel like it definitely looked more neutral toned on me. So this one I would almost classify as like a neutral dark chocolate kind of color, but I love this. It feels like a perfect fall shade. It feels like a perfect deep neutral, and even though it doesn't have the same level of opacity as the others, it still ended up giving me really beautiful coverage in 2 coats. And here are all the polishes together. Such a beautiful little gradient of colors. The first 3 are the jelly glosses and the special effects topper, and then the bottom 2 rows are all of the cream finishes, and you can just see all the variety in color and depth and undertones here, which I really appreciate. One thing I do want to point out though is if you're looking at this and you're thinking these are all very warm tones, just keep in mind I have very yellow looking skin, so sometimes things look a little bit warmer when they're on my undertone. If you have cooler, pinkier kind of tones to your skin, then it is going to pull a little bit cooler on you. So just something to keep in mind, but overall I think this was a really great collection. I love all the colors here, so let's talk about them a little bit more. So those are the polishes, and I have to say, I know that this collection might be boring to some people, but I honestly loved it. I think that the colors are absolutely gorgeous. I think the quality is incredible. Ever since Essie updated their formula, at this point several years back, I have just been really enjoying them. I think they're so opaque. I love their brush now. I think they're just really easy to use, and they're very self-leveling, so it makes them very beginner friendly as well. But in terms of the colors, I mean, they're just so perfect for fall. But just in general, I love a neutral toned collection because it's something you can wear all year round. I really appreciate having the different undertones, and I'm definitely feeling my like autumnal brownish mood right now. So I really do do love that. And I have to say, the jellies that Essie has been doing have absolutely wowed me. I know that the nail art studio, like special effects toppers and jellies, aren't everyone's favorite, but I think they're such high quality polishes. Really glad that they're doing more, and I really hope that they continue that. I would love to see those in every collection. So now on to pricing and availability. All the polishes come in the usual Essie 13.5 milliliter bottles. Like I said, they do feature a wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, so it's really easy to apply, and they are very self-leveling. They're available in a few different spots since they are a salon drugstore brand. I saw them online available at Ulta and also on Amazon, and they're around $10 USD each, so I will link both of those down in the description. You can check them out if you're interested, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this collection? What do you think of the color story? And what do you think of those nail art studio polishes? Do you like their jellies and toppers? Leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I love you all, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. I feel like I've been going on so much about these fall themed would you rather questions, but this collection feels so fall to me, so I'm going to continue with another one, which is, would you rather, if you're a coffee drinker, I guess if you're not a coffee drinker, apply this to tea, but would you rather drink hot coffee or iced coffee for the rest of your life? You can only pick one. And if you know me, you know that the answer is very easy, because year round I will be drinking iced coffee. I do not like hot coffee. I also don't really like hot tea. I don't really like iced tea either, to be honest, but I'll drink it over hot coffee probably. So yeah, iced all the way year round for me, but let me know your thoughts. I know a lot of people actually in the community are not coffee drinkers, so if you're not a coffee drinker or a tea drinker, let me know, what's your go-to drink, and would you drink it hot or cold? Leave it all in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.